The sixth region of the African Union and the right of first refusal. This is an invitation for public evaluation. Family, this video is not a pitch. It's not a fundraising appeal, and it's not asking for blind support. What this is, very intentionally, is an invitation for public evaluation. We are inviting podcasters, journalists, scholars, chambers of commerce, diaspora organizations, and policy thinkers to examine a framework in public, critically, independently, and without obligation to endorse it. The framework centers on two ideas: the sixth region of the African Union and the right of first refusal movement. Strong ideas do not need protection, they need scrutiny. And if these ideas have merit, they should survive that scrutiny. Why this conversation matters now. We are at a turning point in Africa's global positioning. Across the continent, governments are asserting greater sovereignty over resources, security, trade, and development pathways. At the same time, Africa's global diaspora, over 200 million people, is still largely excluded from formal economic participation in those decisions. This contradiction matters because symbolic inclusion without economic mechanisms is not inclusion. It's ceremony, and ceremony does not build industries, supply chains, or shared prosperity. What is the sixth region of the African Union? The sixth region of the African Union is not a new idea. The African Union formally recognized the African diaspora as its sixth region alongside Africa's 5 geographic regions. But recognition alone does not equal integration. Today, the sixth region is treated primarily as cultural, historical, or aspirational, not economic. There are no standardized procurement pathways, no guaranteed access to public opportunities, no formal economic role that matches the language of inclusion. So the real policy question becomes this: is the sixth region meant to be symbolic or structural? The gap between recognition and reality. Africa already uses policy to shape outcomes. Governments prioritize local firms. They negotiate strategic partnerships. They design procurement systems with intention. So the issue is not whether policy influences markets. It always does. The issue is who policy is designed to include. And right now, the diaspora exists outside the largest public economic decisions on the continent. Introducing the right of first refusal movement. This is where the right of first refusal movement enters the conversation. Right of first refusal is not a business. It is not a private consortium. It is a public policy proposal. The right of first refusal applies to the awarding of substantial public contracts by public bodies across Africa. Under this framework, qualified diaspora-linked enterprises would have the first opportunity to match or compete before contracts are finalized. Right of first refusal does not eliminate competition. It does not exclude local firms. It does not ban international participation. What it does is prevent automatic exclusion. The core question right of first refusal raises: if the African diaspora is recognized as part of Africa, why is it excluded from Africa's public procurement systems? That is not an emotional question. It is a structural one, and it deserves analysis by economists, legal experts, journalists, and media creators who are willing to engage honestly without slogans. Who this invitation is for? This is a direct invitation to podcast producers, journalists, and investigative reporters. Africa and the Diaspora Chambers of Commerce, development economists and policy scholars, student organizers, and Pan-African networks. We are not asking you to promote this project. We are asking you to examine it publicly, critique it, stress test it, compare it to global precedents, identify risks and opportunities. If you host or produce a podcast, here are constructive ways to engage. Policy debate, case studies where right of first refusal could have changed outcomes, legal feasibility discussions, interviews with skeptics and supporters. Comparison to similar mechanism worldwide. No editorial control is being requested. No endorsement is required. Just serious engagement. Call to viewers, activate the media. Viewers, this is where you come in. Use the comments. Name podcasters that should examine this. Tag journalists and producers. Ask them to engage publicly. If you host a podcast yourself, comment producer. Silence preserves the status quo. Engagement shapes outcomes. For those who want more information, GDN Global serves as the public information hub for this project, not as an authority demanding agreement, but as a clearinghouse for documentation, policy briefs, and ongoing updates. Use it freely, reference it, challenge it. Examine this in public. The 6th region of the African Union and the right of first refusal movement do not need protection. They need examination. If they are strong, they will endure scrutiny. If they are weak, they should not be advanced. Either way, the conversation belongs in public. Engage, question, debate. Subscribe for continued analysis. Support the work through Greater Diversity News and help grow the economic liberation of African conversation. Forward this to someone whose voice should be part of this debate.